Hey YouTube, I hope everybody's having a fun Christmas. Today I decided I wanted to do a video that sort of compares these two packs. I've had this one for a while. It's the I guess it's the Gen 2 or the MOLLE 2 pack that the Army is using. Of course the Army right now is using the digital camouflage pattern, but it's the same design. And then this pack is the Marine Corps' old ILBE, which they've discontinued for reasons that I'll talk about. But I've decided to talk about the pros and cons, just in case somebody's wondering about these two, or if they want to buy one and they don't know which one they want to buy, then they can look at this video hopefully and it'll give you some insight on which one you might want to pick out. I'm not going to go over every feature of each pack, mostly because you can look on YouTube and you could find tons of different reviews for each individual pack. So I'm just going to compare the two, and hopefully that'll help make a decision. So the first comparison is weight. Now, I guess before, you should notice that this pack, I don't have, there's no bottom for the sleep system, and I didn't buy one for a reason. I don't think, I'd rather just, I think the bag, I'm trying to make this a little bit lightweight or lighter weight than it already is, and so I didn't buy that so that I could just attach a smaller sleeping bag, and if I ever needed to put that much stuff in, I can just make a huge bag, like just a stuff sack, and just wrap it on. So however, now when you compare weights, if I compare this the way it's set up, this is 7.5 pounds, just the way it is. I just weighed it on the kitchen scale, 7.5 pounds. This is about 8.5, 8.3 pounds. And so if you add the smaller or the sleep system bag, it'll probably be pretty close to about 8.5, 8.3 pounds. So the weight is pretty close to the same. And really the weight's it's really heavy, but they are extremely ruggedized. So I guess I want to show you before we really get into comparisons, or I guess the best way to compare is to explain what I like and what I don't like about each pack. And so let's start with the ILBE. Of course, one thing I don't like about this pack is that it weighs 8.5 pounds. And so really, it limits what I'm going to use it for. Obviously I can use it for anything, almost anything, but for me, really, if I'm gonna go backpacking with this, which it is a backpacking backpack, right? If I'm gonna take this backpacking, for the most part I'm not gonna take this because it's too heavy. I want to look for a pack that's around 3 pounds, maybe 4 at the most. It has to be really comfortable to be 4 pounds, but I'm looking for a 3-pound pack, and this is 8.5 pounds. Yeah, it's just extremely heavy. And I was looking around seeing what I could cut off, and there's a lot of things I could cut off. A lot of these straps, there's a lot of extra stuff that just makes it super robust, and I could probably cut off 2 pounds, maybe 3 pounds, but even then it's too heavy. And the reason why it's just so heavy for backpacking is because of the fabric. This fabric is, I guess it's 720 denier, which is pretty heavy. 500 denier would have been plenty, but it is for a military, and it was designed for the military. And if I was in the military, and I know that when you give stuff to a private, and it's not his, and he generally won't take care of it. He'll break it, and so that's pretty much what they're designing it for, plus the fact that they don't want it to break in the worst time possible, which is in combat. So it's overbuilt. Having said that, I still bought it. And the reason I bought it is because I can use it. I think it'd be a great bug out bag because of the same reasons the military use it. It's really heavy duty. It's gonna last a long time. In that situation, I'll be a little bit rougher on my gear, and so I want gear that's a little bit more robust, as opposed to when I'm just backpacking. So let's look at some of the things that I don't like about this pack. One thing I don't like about the pack is I like the hip belt. It's really comfortable. It's more comfortable than the MOLLE hip belt. It fits my waist really well, but it doesn't have any PALS webbing right here, or any MOLLE webbing. No PALS webbing. Like, for instance, the MOLLE pack. If you look at its hip belt, it has webbing right here, or PALS webbing. And what I could do with this is I can put a canteen, or I can attach a pouch. And if you've seen some of my other videos, you know that I really like, you know, the ability to attach my bear spray. I like putting my water. I like my water on my belt. I like having another pouch or two on my belt so that I can, you know, access things like snacks, like a compass, things that, you know, are up here. And so, you know, this doesn't have anything at all. I can't attach anything to here to do that. So I'm gonna have to think of a way to. I might think of a way to do that, or I don't know. I'm still thinking about it if I want to attach anything. Another thing I don't like is the buckle. I mean, the buckle works, and it's an ITW buckle, which means it's a pretty good buckle. It's not going to break on you. I mean, all of the fasteners on this pack and on the MOLLE pack are all ITW. But I don't like it. In fact, and the reason why I don't like it is because I found out what the MOLLE one is. So if you look at the MOLLE one, again, it's a little bit different design. Let's see if I can get these together so you can share. Here, I'll get a closer view of that. Okay, so if you look at these two buckles, you'll notice that, you know, this one has the center. This is the center release, so you push this and it releases it, and this releases here. It's a side release, and that's not, you know, either way I don't mind. But what I like is that it has these locks, and it's what this does is it locks the strap so it won't slide out when it's loose, whereas this doesn't have it. So if it's, you know, it easily slides when it's loose. This one, the only way you can do that is if you have to push this button in, and then it slides. And for me, that's the best. I really like this buckle better for setting, you know, how tight this is, because the way I do it, I know a lot of, you know, and mostly this is because these, you have to pull this way. You have to pull. Let's see if I can point. You have to pull it this way, the straps, to get it tight on both of these. Some of the newer packs, not military packs, but civilian packs, they have it so that they have the strap come back, and you pull, you know, you pull this way, or toward, which is easier for your arms to pull to tighten. But when you pull this way, it's a little difficult. So the way that I do it, the way that I get around it, is I undo the buckle while it's on me. I do a little like that, and then I retighten it. And eventually, you know, I just keep doing that a little bit at a time until it's the perfect size. You know, a little bit at a time, and then reclip it. It's easier for me to do that way. With this one, the nice thing about it is that once I get it set, well, first of all, it's easier to do that because it, you know, I do a little bit at a time, and then I leave it, and it's not gonna move. Whereas this one, it'll move on me, and so it might just take a little bit longer to adjust. But once this is set, I can, you know, hike all day. It's not going to come loose, and then, you know, take it off, take a break, and I can come back, and I don't have to readjust it because it's already adjusted. Now the funny thing about this one is that if you look at the replacement buckles for this pack, the ILBE pack, they have this. They sell you this one instead of this one. So, and for me, I bought a pack of 4 of these ones online, so I'll be replacing this. But that's one thing I don't like, but it's an easy fix. So easy fix. So another thing I don't like about this pack is the load lifters, and that's what this is right here. They did it right. Arc'teryx did it right by having, you can feel the frame. You know, the frame has that bar that goes, it goes from this spot right here down into your hip belt, and that's to transfer your load. And the best thing about how you want it that high, you know, above your shoulders. And so, but the problem is that they put a bar tack right here. Let's see if I can get a picture of that a little bit better. So they put a bar tack right here, and what that did is that it changed the point where it's, you know, so when you cinch this all the way up, and if you look online, so like when I wear this, it's up to about here. It's about right here. And the best one is if it would come straight from there instead of right here. But they tied it down, and I can't move it up. So that's to me that's a bad part of the design. However, that's an easy fix for me. What I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this bar tack off, and then this will just this piece right here, it's just wrapped. So I cut it right here, and then this is just going to start from up here which is where it should have been in the first place. And then you'll see it'll come from here, and it'll be a better angle. So this angle is bad. So that's, let's see, the rest of it. So that's the majority of my gripes with this pack. Other than, you know, it just has really heavy stuff. I like everything else about it. I like this big cover. I don't know when I'll ever use this. I don't like putting a water bladder. It's designed to put a water bladder right here on the outside, and I think that's a bad, well, it's kind of a good and a bad design. I guess it really showcases the weaknesses of water bladders, because, you know, most packs, they put their water bladder right in here, which is really good for weight placement. That's where you want the weight to be because of all that water. But the problem with that is that it's really difficult to get to, and you're putting your water inside your pack, and so if the bladder leaks, which every water bladder I've had has leaked, which is why I don't like them. That's not saying that every water bladder does that, but the 3 that I bought that were all Camelbacks, they've all leaked. They leak all the time, and I fix the leak, and then they leak some more. So I just don't like them. But so if you put, you know, your water bladder here, it can get punctured, it can leak into all your stuff. That's not good. Also, if it doesn't leak, if it does everything it's supposed to do, well, now you have all your stuff in here, and your water bladder's smashed up against your back. Now when you want to go fill it, you have you either try to fill it with all this stuff pushing against it, which then it won't fill, or you take it out, fill it, and then you got to put it back, slide it all the way back in. Pain in the butt. So what they did was they made it so you can put the water bladder right here. That's what, you know, this is everything. So they made it so you can put the water bladder right here, which is good for filling it and emptying it, and it's also outside of your pack, so you're not going to get everything. So, you know, that kind of makes it, you know, you put your water bladder right here, and it just sits right on the outside, which is a good place for it. If it, you know, then if it leaks, it doesn't leak everywhere. It just leaks on the outside. It's easy to fill, but then your weight, the problem with that then is that your weight's way in the back, which isn't the best place you want it. And really your water is your heaviest thing. I guess when you're in the military, your ammo's heavier, but for backpackers, your water is the heaviest thing you're gonna have. So you want to keep that close to your back, or as much on your hips as possible, which is why I like to put my water right here on both sides, you know, either on one side or the other. I like to put it right on the hip belt where it's the easiest to get to, and I know it's on my hip. It's, you know, it's the best. It centers the weight for me the best. So then the pack doesn't. It just helps center the pack better. Anyway, so that's this. That's my gripes with the ILBE. Other than that, it's really heavy and it has a lot of extra stuff that you could take off. So I haven't seen a lot of videos on adjusting your ILBE, which is pretty important to get it to fit right. There's not a lot, even though there's not a lot of adjustments. So if you're really small, if you have a really small torso, this might not fit you. And if you have a really big torso, this fits pretty big torsos, but if it's a really big torso, it might not fit you. So the adjustment size of this, if you're pretty close to average, and I can't really tell you what the size is, but before you adjust anything, you're going to want to find out what your torso length is. The best way there's a couple ways to do that. One way is to go to a store like REI or another outdoor retailer that knows packs really well, and they'll tell you, they'll measure your torso. You could also take this pack into REI and have them adjust it for you. They might do that for you. Also, so you find let's see, online you can go to rei.com. They'll have a video, and you can also go to, well, there's lots of YouTube videos on finding your torso length. You can also go to a website, a custom pack manufacturer's website called McHale, M-C-H-A-L-E, McHale Packs, and he has really good instructions for getting the best. His really is the best method for finding your torso length. So you find your torso length, and that really tells you the distance between your hip belt and your shoulder pads. And now this hip belt, you can't move it up and down. It's locked in place. It's removable, but you can't adjust where it sits on the pack. The torso. So what you're going to move is these shoulder straps. And the way you do that. So first you got to take them. You got to take them off. And this is how you do it. So you take off the quick release on both of these. You take your load lifters straps out, and they're easy to put back. You take off your hip belt, right? And now you're left, what you're left with is this frame sheet right here, and it's velcroed, and then the frame sheet, you can't, this is a plastic frame sheet, and it doesn't move, okay? So these are velcro to this, and so you reach inside and you get your hand underneath it, okay? And now it's on. So now I can take it in or out. If I want to, I can take it completely out. And you'll notice that there's a whole lot of velcro on the back, and this attaches to the frame sheet. So the way that you're going to adjust it is the way that I do it is I cup it like this with my hand here, and I pull my other hand these, and you're going to want to know, you probably want to measure, you know, with the hip belt on, kind of measure where your mark is, and then keep it so that the velcro doesn't touch. And then once you're in the right spot that you like to be, then you just take your hand off and push it down. So you can move them down, you can move it up, and so anywhere on this frame sheet, all the way down to here, I guess you can adjust it. And then now it's stuck on, and now you just put everything back. So to put it back together, you just slide these into here, into these slots. You won't be able to see it. Like that. Now this is on. And then make sure they're straight. Get this out of the way. You have to kind of, at the same time, push and click. And that's it. So that's how you adjust the ILBE. So now let's look at the MOLLE. So let's talk about some of the things that I like about the MOLLE pack. I've already told you that I like this buckle. Another thing I like I've already said, is these PALS webbing on the hip belt so that I can attach my water bottle. Or, you know, bear spray or another bag. But I like to be able to attach things to my belt. So that, I definitely like that. And I also like that you can also wear body armor with this. I mean, the whole shape that this is set, it's conducive to wearing body armor. So definitely like that part. Another thing I like about this is that one of the things that, you know, people like about the Alice pack is that, you know, you have an external frame, so you take off this bag and you can pretty much attach whatever you want to the frame, and you can still, you know, you can use it like to haul a game, you know, a deer if you shoot a deer or a moose. You can use it to haul water, big water containers, or, you know, big odd shaped objects. So, you know, taking the bag off, just using the frame and the shoulder bench and the hip belt, it you know, it's a really good idea for hauling stuff. And one thing I don't like about it, well, going into the things I don't like about it, I don't like the load lifters. They really, you know, the frame. It's nice that they're there because it definitely needs those load lifters. But the frame is too short to really utilize what load lifters are supposed to do. Just like, you know, one of my gripes with the ILBE was that the load lifters were too short. You know, of course the ILBE's frame is taller. It's, you know, maybe this much taller, and so you get a better, you know, a better load lifter angled. Where these are, it's still, you know, farther down, so it's not as good as far as load lifters. It would be nice if this was a little bit taller, and also I could maybe, you know, instead of stringing it through here, I could have it go over the top and through the, you know, back through this side, so then it'll be a little bit taller. But still, it's short load lifters. I don't like that. The frame is short. Of course, the frame is short for a reason, and that's, you know, it's supposed to be a combat pack, and in combat you don't want a lot of stuff, you know, a lot of stuff up here above your shoulders. You want it to be short, easier to lay in the prone with it on. And so let's see, there's not a lot of PALS webbing. You know, if you look at the side, there's not, the ILB has PALS all over the place. PALS, it doesn't have any PALS on the top, which would really nice if it had something. You know, it does have some on the front, just a little bit, but this isn't really PALS webbing because it doesn't have the, they're 2 inches or 3 inches instead of 2 inches instead of 3. What is it, 1.5? It's supposed to be. So actually, there's no PALS anywhere on this, even though it's a MOLLE. It does have this. This is for all your old school Alice stuff. It'll hold that. But you know, like I said, if you take this part off, the bottom part off, you can put really big things right here, and I like that, which is why I didn't buy the bottom part. So let's look into adjusting it. So to adjust it, first of all, with the hip belt, you can move the hip belt to a different spot. You know, one thing about the ILBE is that the hip belt's stuck where it is, and you can move this up or down a few spots, but I doubt anybody's going to do that. But that, you know, that's an option. And really, where your adjustment is moving this up and down. And so I'm going to take this off. I'm not going to bore you with taking it off. I'm just going to take it off, and then we'll be able to see how to move that. All right, so I disattached, or I took the bag off one side, and it wasn't easy. I forgot that, you know, you're not going to do it without pliers. So, which leads to looking at the back part and how it's attached. And basically you have these 4 straps that weave through here, and these are not easy to put on, but you know, you see if I can even do it without pliers. Also, pretty much need pliers to do this. So I took this out. You notice there's 2 rings here, and so it goes through both of them, and then that's how it holds it, and then there's Velcro just to hold it tight. But so that this just wraps around, and then this goes through a slot. So to adjust, you have to take all these off, and then you pick your slot. You know, I picked this one. Obviously, you can't go high. You can't go to this one because this won't go up higher. So you can, you know, this is the tallest. This is actually the tallest I can get this one. It can only go, you know, I can only go down. So that's, you know, right now this is the highest it can be adjusted to, which is limiting. The old ones, the old style harness that you can, with that one I could go up to this one. So I can go up one more if I needed to. But the old style is not, it's more, you know, it doesn't go inside here. It sticks out, you know, it sticks out across the frame, and it's more like a bungee, where this one is more pad. Basically they just put pads on the frame. But this style, the newer style, is probably the reason why they did it, is so that it's easier to wear with body armor, whereas the old style is not. So if you're buying this pack and you're not wearing body armor, then you want to get the old style harness and not this newer style. Although I have worn this without body armor, and it's still comfortable. So do what you got to do. But that's, you know, that's basically, you know, that's all you can really adjust it. It's not going to go down that much farther either because of this bottom. It's almost all the way down. So maybe a couple more slots down I can move this. So it doesn't have that much adjustment. That's definitely a downside for this pack frame. So let's talk about which one would you get. Obviously, you know, you could buy 2 like I did, or you can, but maybe you can only get one of them. Now this one, the ILBE, I got for $100 online, and then this was probably 50 or 60. And you could get, so obviously the ILB is more expensive, but not much. And you could probably find them cheaper than what I got if you look. So what are the benefits, or which one should you get? So first of all, if you're wearing body armor, and that's your plan, is to wear body armor, then you want to get the MOLLE, just because it'll fit over your body armor a lot better than the ILBE. Now, if you're not wearing body armor, this pack is going to be more comfortable, just because of the design. It's a more comfortable pack to wear. This also has more room in it, although you can. The benefit of this one is that you could take off the pack on the back, and you could just use the frame and the suspension, and you could put however the biggest pad or the biggest bag on you can. So this will in theory hold more, but without any changes the ILB has more room. And then you know, I already discussed cost. This one, you know, I do like the fact that I could put water on the, and that's a big thing for me, putting water on here on my hip belt. So of course you can just buy another hip belt or modify this one so that it does carry water. So that's, you know, that's a changeable option. They're both real heavy. They both would work really well for a bob, for a bug out bag, and I use this for a training pack. I've been starting to use this a little just to see how it feels, and it feels pretty comfortable. But you know what I do is I put like 2-3 gallons of water, and I walk around the neighborhood just to condition my body a little. And so this one, you know, just because it's cheap and it's really heavy duty, this one does real well with that application. So hopefully that helps you decide. That'll help somebody decide which one they want to get. Just some other things, I guess. If you look at the buckles, they're exactly the same. They're the same color. They're the same brand. They're exactly the same. They're the ITW Nexus brand buckles, which are extremely good buckles. Very, very strong. Also, if you wanted to compare colors, you could like here is a Condor pouch, and it's brown, or they call it tan, and it's, you know, it's pretty close. I was surprised how close this was. So you can buy brown Condor stuff and it'll match this. Of course it's too dark for this, but you know, you could always just take a Condor pack and strap it onto this one if you need it, if you wanted to. So that's color. So hopefully that helps somebody to pick a pack. Thanks for watching.